Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. As we all know, October is right around the corner. You know what else is right around the corner? Diddy's sentencing. His family has been pulling everything out of the bag to get this man out of prison or to get his sentence lessened. They've crossed the line. They've been crossed the line, but I feel like they really crossed the line with these letters. I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, they have the right to send letters, etc., etc. It's what was in the letters. And I want you all to notice the same people who are saying, oh, judge, let him out. His sentence, lessen it. He doesn't deserve this. Trying to speak to what good they think he's done. It's the same people that's been saying all of this. Notice none of these other celebrities, big name celebrities, have come out to defend him since he's been going through all of this. That says a lot. Now, one of the main ones who came out with the letter, the ride or die, if you will, of the century, Carisha, Young Miami, starting the letter off how they always do. Oh, dear Your Honor, dear Judge, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a girlfriend, whatever. I'm an artist. Talking about how she spent all this time in the public eye, making trash music. I said what I said. Then trying to be fake humble and considerate by saying, oh, she can't speak to or condone whatever may have happened before her, before she got involved with him. The fact that she even said may, when all these people came out of the woodwork filing lawsuits. The woman with the picture, Anna Kane, of her sitting on his lap allegedly when she was under the legal age. And she wouldn't be this far with a lawsuit if there wasn't some credit or merit to what she was saying. The video of him beating Cassie, that wasn't a may. We all saw that with our eyes. This is what I mean when I say these celebrities be playing in our faces. I know she didn't write this. She got somebody else, some sort of PR person or somebody like a lawyer to help her write this. But the fact that they even put that in there, what he may have done, as a slap in the face to all of his victims. She wrote, and I quote, I do not condone any wrongdoing. I can only speak from my personal experience and the man I've come to know over the past 4 years, end quote. You only knew him for roughly 4 years. Cassie knew him for 10. I get it, 4 years is a while, but it's not even half as long as Cassie knew him, so we can already say that she had more experience in this situation, to know him for the person that he really is. She continues by saying, and I quote, for 3 of those years, I was in a public relationship with Sean, and during that time, I witnessed and came to know a different person than the one often portrayed. Behind the scenes, he was loving, genuine, supportive, and always encouraging. He motivated me, believed in me, and helped me grow both personally and professionally, end quote. First of all, the one that was portrayed, the persona, if you will, that was portrayed, who was responsible for that portrayal? He was. He was the one responsible for his own image. All of what we saw, he put out there himself. The him that he displayed, what he did that himself. Now, saying he helped her grow personally and professionally, you mean he gave you money, allegedly? You mean he gave you a career outside of the one that you had that people said that you didn't work on? You were a part of a group, a 2-person group, allegedly you didn't work on, even though people were telling you to go into the studio and work on whatever talent you thought you had and you didn't. So you got tired of things falling through and you went to him to replace your career with his money, with his influence. While he used you to make himself look like some kind of pro-black, down with the community individual, when we all know that's not the truth. It never was. So is that what you meant by that's what he did to help you professionally? That's wild. She goes on to say, and I quote, I'm writing this letter because I believe it's important for the court to know the side of Sean that isn't always seen or spoken about, the man who poured into others, who gave opportunities, who led by example, and who loved deeply, end quote. Really? Who poured into others, who gave them opportunities? Like the people from making the band who said that he screwed them over and didn't pay them what they were supposed to. Like Diddy Kane, the members of which said that he screwed them over and didn't pay them what he was supposed to, allegedly. And then offered some of them a slap in the face, pennies on the dollar, for their publishing or whatever it was. But then it came with the stipulation of you can't say anything bad about him, his company, his mom. So if they decided to speak out about what he did to them, if he did something to them, they couldn't say anything. And let's get this straight. He did lead by example, a very bad one, a demonic one. And also, once again, there was nothing about P. Devil Combs that embodied love or that was love. Then she goes on to speak a bunch of word salad about claiming how he helped her balance her work life, etc., that he helped push her to be more into her profession, more of a work type individual, a businesswoman, if you will. And I'm still trying to understand and figure out what business was that. Aside from her podcast that she had that he gave her, was it Carisha Please, I think was the name of it? What business is she talking about? Because I still remember the allegations. I even made a video about it some time ago, about her basically being a high-profile sugar baby, allegedly. Then she goes on to talk about how one of her most memorable moments is when he brought her to the Met Gala, event that we don't even know what happens most of after all the pictures are taken. That all we do know involves a bunch of high-profile celebrities that are probably doing God knows what behind closed doors. You're only really invited if you're real deep into the industry. Then she said it was less about the event and more about the priority, the opportunity of it all, so to speak. How she's saying that Sean Combs opens doors for black people. And you know, it's funny because a lot of people who screw over black people that are black people, that's one of the main things that's said about them. Oh, they're so pro-black. They open doors for black people. Yeah, black people who they use, abuse, and then throw away. And once again, we really need to stop aspiring to have and to want what some other people have. Whenever we see other groups, most of which don't look like us, that are indulging in certain things, most of which are usually ungodly and demonic and will not be good for us later on in life, at this point in life anyways. And then we want to have what they have because we think it's so nice, it's luxury, we think it's cool. No, some of this stuff, we need to see it for what it is and leave it the heck alone because we don't need it anyways. Whatever they got going at that Met Gala, whatever they're deep off into, we don't need to be in it anyways. But people who are so wrapped up in their carnal desires, in their lustful desires, who are so wrapped up in the luxury and the fame and the money of it all, they can't see it that way, unfortunately for them. She then goes on to talk about how he gave her her platform, her podcast, to speak for the culture, as she says, connect with people. I done already told y'all the culture is for the trash. I've seen clips of some of the stuff that she be talking about on there, that she was talking about on that podcast. That's definitely not the voices that I want speaking to the youth because that's who's listening to her. And then she goes on to really try to convince people that the good side of him was just this hidden gem that we didn't see because he only had it or showed it behind closed doors. The devil is a good liar and a deceiver too. If you genuinely have a good character, if you are genuinely a good person, that will be shown and displayed everywhere you go. Behind closed doors, in public, it does not matter. You will be a good person everywhere you go, to everybody you meet if you genuinely are. He's not gonna beat Cassie and drag her through a hotel corridor and then be nice to you if he's genuinely a nice person, if he's genuinely a good person. And I don't want to hear that, oh, those were in 2 different times, 2 different decades. You see, she said it right there at the top of the screen in her letter that she witnessed him do the real inner work. No, she didn't, because she overlapped the time while he was still messing with Gina. They fought about it all over Twitter. And nobody's gonna convince me that she wasn't upset when Data Tran came up, that last one that he was involved with. When she came up talking about how she was pregnant with Baby Love, is what they call her. You can't convince me that she wasn't upset about that, because this is the same Carisha, Young Miami, who was talking about how she wanted twins for him and hoping that she could because Kim Porter had twins for him. And remember, Gina came out and said that he put hands on her. This was quite recently, actually, within the last couple of years. Now, she went and backtracked for the obvious reason of her either being manipulated, threatened, or paid off. But I believe what she said when she said it the first time. So no, he didn't do the inner work. No, you didn't see him do any inner work. He's still the same person he's been. Now, he might be older and tired now, which is why he didn't put hands on her, because he needs her to curate this image again that he's down for the black community by having a black girlfriend, apparently. And as I've said before, he's not about to put his hands on her because she seems like the kind of person, the kind of woman that would shank him in his sleep over something like that. A woman shouldn't have to resort to something like that to keep a man from putting his hands on her, but she seems like the type who'd do it. Also remember, one of the last few times he put his hands on Kim Porter, the last black woman he was in a relationship with, she jabbed him. Almost took him out of here apparently because she almost severed crucial arteries. Allegedly. Now, this is where she really crossed the line. Number one, when she said, and I quote, "In my personal experience, Sean is not a danger or a threat to the community," end quote. In your personal experience, we don't care about you in this situation right now. We care about the victims and the people whose lives will be in danger if he's walking around. People want to reduce this to Cassie. They want to say stuff like, oh, she's not in danger. He didn't do anything to her. She's just mad. She's just a bitter ex-girlfriend. If she is in danger or if she is scared, it's because of something that she did. They're reducing this to it's just Cassie, and they're hating on Cassie because of this situation and because he could possibly be in jail for the rest of his life because of all this stuff that he did and got all these people involved in. This is bigger than Cassie. She's not the only victim, alleged victim, that he has. There were other victims, alleged victims of his, who said, "I do not feel safe. I will not feel safe. My safety and life will be jeopardized if he is walking around free, if he gets bail, if he is not sentenced for a very long time." I am convinced that some people slept through that trial because if they didn't, they would remember and know all of the non-celebrity victims, alleged victims who had to take to the stand and talk about under oath all the illegal activities that they witnessed him do, people around him doing, that they had them involved in. The illegal actions that he subjected some of these other people to, what he did, how he assaulted some people. Some of the victims talked about how they were assaulted by him. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. You think they're going to be safe after saying that on the stand? People want to say, oh, remember, you're under the oath. And then when they tell the full truth of what he allegedly did to them, now y'all all don't want to believe them and say that they're still lying. None of those people are safe. That's why he's still in prison. Once again, it's not about her, it's about his victims. Then she goes on to fix her raggedy mouth to say, and I quote, "He is a man of God, someone who uplifts, supports, and inspires those around him to be better mentally, physically, and spiritually," end quote. Not with that dad bod. Are you kidding me? Physically? Mentally and spiritually, you mean he was ruining people's mental health? Like some of those victims said that they had to stop working for him because all the stuff that they were doing, like the one assistant that he had who alleged that her bodyguards thought that she was stealing something from him or had did something to him, or because she knew about or was friends with or slightly acquainted with Suge Knight, that everybody assumed Suge Knight sent her to him to spy on P. Diddy or to feed him information about him. So they threatened to throw her into the East River. Are you kidding me? Mentally, like the mental mind games he would play with people, allegedly, the manipulation, allegedly, how he has successfully manipulated a whole lot of people, especially within the black community, into actually thinking that he's innocent. There were even people who were in the room during the trial said he still has this ability to command the room, if you will. Like, even though he was in the orange suit, if you will, at one point in time, or that, he's the one on trial, if you will, he still had this ability to look around the room, to get people's attention, to sway people, which is crazy. Not good. Manipulative. Don't even get me into the spiritual aspect. Yeah, he's leading people spiritually down a dark and demonic path because everything about him is dark and demonic. Didn't they come upon him or walk upon him doing some kind of ritual at some point in time, allegedly? And for her to say he's a man of God, I told y'all before, it really ticks me off when people put God in their mess. Unless they're talking about the devil being his God, because that's who is the God of P. Devil Combs. The devil is P. Devil Combs' God. Because I know they're not talking about Yeshua, because he is not a man of Yeshua. P. Devil Combs is a man of the devil. The amount of times she tried to make it seem like he was this good person who was this great influence on everybody around him. And I quote, "His presence, love, and guidance matter deeply in their lives," end quote. She's talking about his family, how she so deeply believes he belongs at home with his family. I said this many times, especially when the trial was going on and I was covering all of those lawsuits that were coming out against him. He should have been thinking about his family whenever he was out here hurting other people's family? Was he thinking about his mother, his friends, his girlfriend, his children when he was out here allegedly hurting other people's children? Unfortunately, yes, the children and the loved ones of a person will suffer sometimes because of the actions of that person. This is something that they're going to have to deal with because of what he chose to do. You chose to depend on a man who you knew was shady and was doing shady things. And now that he's getting caught up and he has to face the consequences of his actions, you don't want that because you're selfish and you want to keep benefiting off of being close to him. The money, the fame, being next to him. Y'all know what this letter basically said? And the judge, I'm sure, is going to also pick this up as well. This letter basically said, hey, judge, I don't care about any of the victims, the alleged victims. I don't care about what he was doing out here. I don't care if it is true that he was out here raping children, men and women. I just need him out so I can keep benefiting off of him giving me money and an opportunity to do whatever I want to do. While she's busy sticking beside him, being a ride or die and writing letters to the judge, she needs to be concerned about being looked into herself. She needs to be hoping and praying to Yeshua that she doesn't get caught up herself and have to face consequences, because the receipts from those tweets where she was bragging about how she could make Gina get on her knees, so to speak, and eat her out, which is assault, the last time I checked, is still out there on the internet. So like I said, she better be hoping and praying that she don't get caught up too. That they don't slap her with something too, instead of being out here writing letters. Anyways, I included this picture because these are all of his children who wrote letters. Now, look at this picture. Look at that hand signal that he's making in the middle of them. It's interesting that it's 6 of them, isn't it? I'm just pointing out some things if you understand the occult and how the music industry works. These demonic celebrities, all of the demonic imagery that they like to use, these hand signals, what they're involved in. This man is really up here throwing up, or holding down, if you will, demonic hand gestures in a picture with his children. But the Diddyites, which is the people that they're calling these extreme Diddy supporters, want this man out. Now, a snippet from what his son, Christian King Combs Jr., if you will, said, and I quote, "No disrespect to you if you have kids, but I know my father is the best," he added. "I've seen my dad help thousands of people, give back millions of dollars, and show love to everyone, and never treat anyone foul. Please release my dad out of jail." Once again, this screams, I don't care about what he did allegedly to anybody. Even allegedly people my own age, younger than me, allegedly. I just want him back so I could keep, living the high life. Because it ain't like he bringing in money like P. Double Combs. His struggle rap career is not hitting. What else is he doing with his life? Other than living off of his father's money. And I don't have an issue with a child living off of their parents' money. You brought them into this world. You should help take care of them. Even as an adult, if you want to give your child something and you have it to give, I'm all for that. But if your father is a criminal and he was out here committing heinous crimes, especially within the community that y'all keep claiming that he was so for and out for helping, he need to be in prison. You need to figure something out, buddy. Because he needs to be held accountable. Apparently, this boy was talking all kind of crazy in the letter about my dad is the best dad in the world. He's better than any of the dads. I put that on this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, I hope you didn't put that on your life. Because it's in danger now. Because if you're lying, I believe you're flying. Because he ain't the best father. Because no father who really loved his kids, who was the best father, would put y'all in the disposition that he's put y'all in. Once again, if he was really thinking about y'all, he wouldn't be out here doing this goofy mess. He wouldn't have been out here hurting people. He would have been thinking about, if I end up in prison, who's going to take care of my kids? Who's going to look out for my kids? I just still can't get over this. Please let my dad out of jail. I can't get over it. Like I said, it's like forget all of what he allegedly did. Forget about consequences. This is how I know that his sons are no good too. He didn't even teach them accountability. They clearly don't know it for themselves. And if they really cared, if they were decent people, they would say, we're sorry for what our dad did. We can't speak to whatever happened that we didn't see. There were some allegations made. Whatever he did to whoever he did it to, we're sorry. We care about him. We don't want him in prison. We want the sentence lessened. At the same time, we understand he has to pay for the consequences. He got to pay the consequences of his actions. But they don't care about any of that. Then his mother had to come in and put her 2 cents in there, talking about how tough his childhood is, as if that excuses anything that he's done. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. to let him out soon because her health is going to the trash, essentially. Again, who was thinking about this? Was he thinking about his mother and her health when he was out here doing all this stuff? Was he thinking he could get locked up and not ever see his mother again when he was allegedly out here committing heinous crimes within the community? Not you telling the judge to let him out so that y'all could heal and grieve the loss of Kim Porter. They like bringing her up in these situations to try and garner sympathy. That woman has been gone for years. Stop using her and what happened to her to try and get sympathy and to gloss over what P. Devil Combs has done to people. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. It's disgusting that they would do that. Then his sister, who we don't even hear that much about on the regular anyways, didn't even know he had a sister until the trial, really. Came up out of nowhere talking about Diddy's nephew is upset because he's not close to him. Even though they were close, he's not close to him because he's in prison. They were close, apparently, allegedly. This nephew that we've never heard of until now, he was oh so close with Diddy, and he's so upset that he cannot be in proximity to him because he's paying for the consequences of his actions. Once again, using the children to gloss over what has happened here. Once again, was he thinking about his nephew that he apparently was so close to that we ain't heard of, or at least I haven't, up until now, whenever he was doing his dirt? Was he thinking about the young man? Apparently he was not. And then she went on to say, the addictions were clouding his judgment. There are a lot of people whose judgment is clouded by addictions. They don't go out and grape people. They don't go out and affect people. That's no excuse. It's never been an excuse. And the fact that he knew he was caught up, because he knew, talking about these addictions now it's acceptable for him to be said to have had an addiction. Anybody else would have said it, they would have been roasted for it. But now all of a sudden, his addictions, it was clouding his judgment. That was not just clouded judgment. That was demonic activity, him being abusive, morbidly so, doing all this stuff that he knew he had no business doing. If he couldn't be a decent enough human being to realize that he was addicted to something and it was causing him to be a horrible human being to the people around him, and be strong and decide, I need help and I got to get my life together and stop hurting people, he needs to be behind bars. And he needs help, and he needs deliverance. Justin Combs, more of the same, who said, and I quote, says life has been incomplete without Diddy, who he describes as a loving, present father who has made mistakes, end quote. And what were those mistakes, Justin? Tell us about those mistakes. As a matter of fact, those were not mistakes. He intentionally did those things that you're trying to make out to be mistakes. He still has to be held accountable for that. Just like if somebody made a mistake towards you, your father, your grandmother, your aunt, your brothers and your sisters would want that person to be held accountable. They'd make sure it happened. Just like we're going to make sure P. Devil Combs gets held accountable. And this is the same Justin I want you all to remember, who got caught up because of driving while under the influence, allegedly. And then Misa, his mother, cussed out P. Devil Combs. She should have cussed him out because he was the one who decided to get behind a car after allegedly drinking. But he was being influenced, is what they were saying, by P. Devil Combs, which is why Misa cussed him out. But this is the same father who was loving, who made mistakes, who should be let out of prison. This is who's saying this. I want y'all to remember all of that. And of course, we can't forget about Quincy Brown. Seems like every time Al.B. Shore is minding his business, somehow he catches a stray because of some goofy mess that Quincy says about him. I understand the situation between him, his stepfather, P. Diddy Combs, and his biological father, Al.B. Shore. I get it. At the same time, he's mad disrespectful for the way he be acting towards his biological father. The stuff he be saying is unnecessary and is disrespectful. Somebody needs to hand him a Bible and show him what it says about children who are just dishonorable towards their parents. For him to say, you know what, I feel this way, I feel that way. I don't think he was there for me the way he should have been. I understand that. But Quincy makes these disrespectful remarks about his father that's unacceptable. And I quote, Diddy's adopted son from Al B. Shore, and Kim says Diddy has been his father figure since he was 4 and has shown him unconditional love. He says Diddy became a rock for Kim's kids after her demise. Then he made some kind of statement to the effect of, allegedly, oh, he's the only father that I've ever known, as if his biological father doesn't exist. Like I said, he ain't gotta completely like the guy. He doesn't have to appreciate the situation, how it turned out. Like, I understand if he feels like he wasn't really there for him. Now, some people believe that Diddy made it that way. You really think that Diddy was going to let Al B. Shore have any kind of involvement or contact with Quincy? Come on now. But the way that Quincy speaks about his father sometimes, it's given resentment. Either that or, like I've mentioned before, maybe he's doing all this because he feels like he has to in order to appease P. Devil Combs. He's living with P. Devil Combs. There's no telling what those kids could be seeing or going through. Maybe he's doing this because he feels like he has to. We might not ever know. We might only know after Pete Devil Combs closes his eyes for good or goes to prison and can't get back out. Dana Tran, which was the last baby mama, if you will, used her daughter as well as an excuse to get him out, to get him past his accountability, if you will. She's also another one of those that need to be looked into, if you ask me. Then, of course, you had the mother of the other girl, Chance. You know, he has his twins, the baby girl and the girl that's in between the twins and the baby girl. She might be a little bit older than the twins. I don't know for sure. Her name is Chance. Her mother came out and made a statement. Then, of course, you had Stevie J. I told y'all it was going to be all the same people coming to vouch for him. Basically, his immediate family, the people who profit from him the most, not being in prison, and Stevie J. The other very intentional ride or die, if you will. He was up here talking about, oh, how Diddy has been so crucial to his success, that he's such a dedicated son and father. And I quote, when his own father passed away, Diddy paid for almost all the funeral expenses, end quote. Why not all of them? But whatever, I guess. Again, it's just excuses to me. At some point in time, you have to be a mature adult and understand the person who you care about so much and who has contributed to whatever had happened in your life or whatever you had going on in your life to you personally has done other things to other people. People can do other things to other people. They'll treat one person one way and then somebody else another way. Just because they treated you well doesn't negate, minimize, or gloss over, like I said before, what they did to that other person. It doesn't take away from it, and it doesn't mean they didn't do it. They still did it, and they still need to be held accountable. Now, to be a mature adult is to say, I care about this person. I want their sentence lessened. I want them here with me, but I understand they have to deal with these consequences. To be an immature and selfish person is to only care about the money, where the money resides, which clearly is P. Devil Combs. You only wanted him out so that you can continue benefiting off of him being around, and to gaslight people, especially the people who were hurt by him the most, which again is a slap in their faces, and to come up with excuses to get him out of that accountability and those consequences, again, so that you can keep receiving those benefits. Clearly, all of them are immature and all of them are selfish. Now, do I believe that some people may have been influenced? And by influence, I mean threatened, strongly encouraged, if you will, to support him? Of course. But some of these other people, they're just selfish. And they're doing it because they want to, again, because they want to keep the cash cow out of prison. Now, the twins also made a statement. Once again, it is messed up that they are using these children to make him look like he's some angel, great father, person of the community, when we all know the allegations, the stuff that has happened. We all know that video that's never going to go away. It's solid proof. We've seen what he's done and the other allegations. It's sad and disturbing and disgusting that they are using these children, especially being that they are young girls who was allegedly the same age that Cassie was whenever she came in contact with him, and he decided that she was young and moldable. That's what allegedly he said, according to one of his assistants. Young and malleable, whatever it was. They're the same ages, allegedly, that Cassie was whenever she came in contact with P. Devil Combs. Would he want somebody who was 2 and 3 times their age with all this money to be out here trying to pimp his daughters out? We all know he wouldn't want that. Or do something inappropriate with or to his daughters. We know he wouldn't want that. So again, he should have been thinking about his daughters before he went out and did those things allegedly to somebody else's. He should have been thinking about all of the trauma and the damage they were going to be drugged through during this process when he was out here committing these crimes. As they said here at the bottom, normal mom and dad to go to whenever they're happy, stressed, depressed. He made it that way. He helped make it that way with this lifestyle that he indulged in, with the things that he allegedly did. This is 100% on him. We all need to remember that before anybody tries to guilt trip or gaslight anybody about P. Devil Combs and who he is. Remember, he made these decisions. Even the people who commented under the article that is being referenced in this video wasn't buying this. They weren't having it either. One person said, and I quote, "Good guys don't kick and beat the crap out of their girlfriends," end quote. A person replied to his comment with, and I quote, "I was just telling my daughter the same thing," end quote. Once again, I want people to understand, I want it to be driven home, so to speak, that he has his daughters, if I'm not mistaken, they're 17, they're about to be 18, or they are 18. So his not legal children, his not legal daughters, or his barely legal daughters out here writing these letters on his behalf, try and get the judge to be more lenient with him or let him out of prison after the crimes, alleged crimes, that he has committed. When we all know he would have put a man in the dirt for doing the same things that he was alleged to have done to these other women to his daughters. Another person posted what I said earlier in this video, and I quote, "Something tells me those people that wrote letters benefit monetarily from Diddy, and therefore it would behoove them to continue to praise him," end quote, and try to once again gaslight people about what kind of person he really is to make him look like he's some person that he's not, especially to the judge. And I hope as soon as those letters slid across the judge's desk, he took a gander at them and then filed 13 them after saying, "Well, of course you want me to let him out. You depend on his money. You're the beneficiaries of his money. Of course you want me to let him out." Not happening. Another person said, and I quote, "The victim's letters to the judge will carry more weight, I assure you of this," end quote. I certainly hope so. Another person commented, and I quote, "Not one of what I have read from them is moving, especially reading it with the Cassie beating video in mind. That video is his legacy and will be beyond his grave. Give him the maximum sentence, judge. He deserves it," end quote. That video will forever be in everybody's minds. Once again, every time we hear one of his daughters talking about, "Oh, my dad this, my dad that, I'm sad that I can't see him." Every time we see one of his sons saying, "Oh, let him out, he's a good father." Well, remember, Cassie's father had to watch a video of this same man beating his daughter like a dog in a hotel. Miss us with the crocodile tears. This last person's comment started off reminding everybody of something that Christian said, something very goofy. And I quote, "I've seen my dad help thousands, show love to everyone, and never treat anyone foul." That's what Christian said, remember? Now this person is saying, "Oh, Christian, there's a video of your helpful dad viciously beating and assaulting a woman that says otherwise," end quote. And I 100% agree. There's a term for people who give thousands, help thousands of people, give thousands to charity, donate. Because there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires who donate to charity. They love doing that because they know it makes them look innocent. It makes them look like they're good people. It's called charitable narcissism. Otherwise also known by what I call it, performative philanthropy. These billionaires and millionaires, celebrities like P. Devil Combs, oh, they'll donate to charity. They'll give to thousands. They'll help people. And then they'll use that as an excuse to do things that they should not, to hurt people. "Oh, I gave you this. I gave you that. So do this for me." Something that they never intended to tell the person that they were going to ask for them before they did all this stuff. Or they'll donate to certain governor's or mayor's campaign, if you will, and say, "Hey, I got some illegal activity I need to conduct. I'm giving you this money for your campaign or just for you. You make sure nobody knows what I got going on." There's a lot of people who call themselves helping the children because they know what it does for their image. There are people who are unwise enough to say, "Oh, well, this person donated to charity. They're always helping people. They're always helping the children. That must mean that they're a great person." No, it just means they have money to do that and they know it makes their image look good. Usually the people who you see doing all these donations are the worst people on the face of the planet. Remember, A lot of these people who got where they are with all this money, with all these millions, they didn't do it ethically. They didn't do it with integrity. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.